Well, this is the fourth video. It's a beginner tutorial. We're flying from Los Angeles to Edwards Air Force Base. I'm going to use a combination of flight management computer and the GPS for navigation. We're getting ready to head out on and line up to runway 25 at Los Angeles. It's 25R actually, and take off from there. I'm going to go ahead again, since it's a beginner video. I'm going to go through the cockpit real quick, gauges we need. Um, and if you just scroll over and click, and not every airplane does this, but your 737s generally are going to do this. And so you can bring up an expanded view of this. So this is your primary flight display. It tells where the nose of your aircraft's pointed. This is the horizon. So and degrees above and below. So we're level at 0 degrees, 10 degrees above, and 10 degrees below. Whether we're climbing or descending. This is our indicated airspeed in knots. So it'll give you indications using the computer what your takeoff speeds are and if you're approaching a stall speed, and give you warnings and such. This is our altitude. We are at 140 feet right now, sitting at the end of the runway. This yellow area, the computer tells and knows that we're at LAX, so it knows the altitude, and it's showing it on our the tape measure here. That's just visual indication. So when we land, it'll be different for Edwards Air Force Base. It'll be marked on there, which is at 2,200 feet, something like that, I believe. And if you just click back on here, on this part of the dial shows you your vertical speed. So when the needle is pointing up in this range, we're going up, ascending. When the needle is pointing down, we're descending. And so this 1 is 1,000 feet per minute, 2,000 feet per minute, so on. So 1,000 feet per minute, ascending, going up 2,000 feet, and just click back inside there, it'll go away. So here's the horizontal situation display. This white line is our true flight path. If we scroll our heading indicator around, usually we'll get a line showing us our. So, but if you click in these displays, you'll get an expanded view. So here's our heading. Right now we're setting at 99 degrees, and finally here's our engines, and here's what we need for takeoff. So we're 24% right now. We're going to take off about 80%, 85%. So we'll watch that when we take off. We're going to go ahead and set flaps. Here's the indicator. I'm going to the third setting, which is 5 degrees. There's 6 degrees. Well, too many. So we're going to be going for 5 degrees. And our autopilot set for initial altitude 4,600 with the hold setting button on. We're going to set our heading actually once we get lined up on the runway. Our vertical speed is set for 1200 positive, and we're ready to arm our auto throttle. We'll select the speed hold after we take off. We're not going to use any kind of auto throttle for takeoff. And so that's our autopilot almost set up. I'm going to roll out onto the runway and get lined up. Okay, well, I'm basically lined up. I will brake and hit my parking brakes control period. Get back to the cockpit. And so I wanted to get lined up well so I can get a heading. And actually, we're lined up at right on 250, 250. So which we need to put in our heading indicator here, or the autopilot heading reference. And so here's how our takeoff's going to go. We're going to set the engines to max out about 80, 85 maybe. We've got our flaps set for 5 degrees. We're going to watch our speed right here. Takeoff rotation is going to be right after we hit 135. We're going to make sure we pull up above the 10 degrees. For the first couple seconds, we're going to shoot for like 11 degrees and try to have the wheels have positive rate of climb. But we're going to keep rolling to about 14 degrees. So we'll actually climb out good and safe. So you don't want to pull back too hard or you'll scrape the tail of the airplane. So that's why we go about 11 initially, hopefully. And we've got flaps. This is our gear. And I'm going to run through. So we'll roll for the takeoff, 80% power. We'll hit 135 knots. We'll rotate the aircraft 11 degrees, 14 degrees. We'll see that we're climbing, we're gaining altitude, that we have positive speed, increasing speed. So we'll keep an eye on our gauges here, very initially off the runway. Then as soon as we know that we're climbing and there's no runway left, we put our gear up. 1,000 feet, flaps go in, and right after we put our gear up, we're switching to autopilot. So all we'll have to do is just hit this one button, the master button, to go on, and that'll keep us on track with the runway at 250. So we're ready to roll. And so I'm giving it some power. I'm going to let it stabilize and try not to turn the joystick. So I'm going to 80 now. I don't have turn my lights on. I'll pull you over for that. Okay, let's zoom out just a little. We got engines, and we're at rotate speed and pass a little bit. So you gotta keep it up. So we're climbing, letting off. So I'm turning on the speed indicator and autopilot. Alright, autopilot's got it. We're going up. So I'll go ahead and increase my speed up. And we've got speed. And that's him calling us as soon as we take off. So we're tuning different departure contact.
SoCal departure 4405. This climbing through 2000 for 13,000. 4405. SoCal departure. Roger. Altimeter 2992. 4405. Turn right heading 010. Proceed on course. Climb and maintain 13,000.
Okay, that's why I don't use the air traffic control all the time. What we're gonna do? We're gonna kill air traffic control. We're gonna pull up GPS. Okay, it's a little jerky. Sorry. So I want my altitude, which I'm going to 15,000. And we basically start turning north, northeast, and we're going to pull up the GPS so we can see that. I'm just trying to turn the aircraft so I can get back to our flight plan, and then we can just follow the GPS. We'll turn it over to the GPS. For this flight, I'm not going to use the flight management computer for the altitude, VNAV, vertical navigation. So it's a good thing to just check the gauges every once in a while, make sure everything's kind of like what we want. So here's the horizontal situation display, multifunction display. This is our flight path, our planned flight path that the GPS has programmed. We're flying toward it. Here it is on the GPS. So we're 7 miles away from it. It's off to our right. That's what this number right here tells us. This tick mark at the bottom says that this nav page, there's 2 pages for this one. If there was only 1 page, there would be 1 tick mark. Some of them have 5. There would be 5 tick marks, and you can change. I use the small one inside. This shows just a different orientation. This shows a north-south orientation of the map. So there's LAX. This is our flight path. This is the plane. That's the, you can kind of see the heading. So that's the runway we took off from. We just made a turn. But that just this page just switches how the map turns. So this one has the airplane at the bottom, with showing what direction you're going, always at the top. So I'm getting near. So I'm gonna turn in a general direction using the autopilot heading. So if I move this out of the way a little bit. So this dotted line shows what heading I'm selecting with the autopilot. And I'm going to just get it to where it's going to bring us to an intersection with our flight plan. We're still climbing out 12,000. You can see the bank angle right here and across the horizon. Going 240, we can actually go faster now since we're over 10,000. And the airplane won't get mad at us. No, I never did put my flaps